Hi there, welcome to the Upcycle Design Lab. My name's Cindy and I craft using recycled and repurposed materials to give you ideas on ways to make and create more economically and ecologically. So today I'm going to be working on a cover for my art journal here. And if you missed my tour of my art journal, you can check the description box of this video and I'll link to that video as well. But originally I wanted to kind of save this Mickey Mouse guy, and I couldn't really figure out a way to do that. So I was playing around with some aluminum can pieces and my embossing tool that I got at the Dollar Tree. So it's quite an affordable little craft project. And I made this sheet. So I want to go ahead and make another one of these sheets so that I will have a front and a back piece for my journal. So to make this sheet, I used 3 different pieces of can. So I need to go ahead and square off 3 pieces of my can edges, and then I'm going to use this HVAC tape to attach the pieces together. All right, so I'm going to use my embossing tool and my triangle just to square off the edges. So I've taped my 3 pieces together with some painter's tape, and now I want to go back and use the HVAC tape to tape the front of the seams. So this tape has some paper backing on it, and I'm just going to go ahead and use my ruler to cut the tape to the width that I want. So I just have my rotary cutter here and my cutting mat, and I'm going to cut a couple of strips to 3/8 of an inch. So the next thing I want to do is go ahead and square off this whole piece. So the last thing I want to do before I start my design is to mark about another 3/8 inch all the way around so that I know, so that I have an edge around my design. You can see how I have just a little bit of a line here. Yeah, it was about 1/4 of an inch. So I'll mark 1/4 of an inch all the way around my piece using the small end of my embossing tool. And now I have another piece ready to go ahead and do some designing on. So the items you need to do the actual embossing are an embossing tool, and like I said, I got this one at the Dollar Tree for $1, so it's quite economical. And then you can also use these blending stumps to help smooth out some of your design if you want to. If you don't have either of these items, in a pinch, you can use sort of a dull pencil. You will get some pencil marks on your aluminum that way, but you can pretty easily get it off. And you can use some Q-tips to sort of buff out some of the, to smooth things out instead of using the blending stumps. The other thing you're going to want is a little bit of padding. You can use foam. I have a piece of felt here, and then you want a harder surface. I like to use the small end of my embossing tool, and I just doodle a design into the back side of the metal, and then with the pad, and then I flip it over and I'm going to retrace both sides of the design to make it come out a little bit more. And like I said, you could trace a design, you can make your own little doodles. I just like kind of doodling because I find that relaxing. So that's what I'm going to do on my book cover here. I'm not an expert at embossing, but I would encourage you just to try different tips and different pressures, different pads to get different effects, and just play around and have fun with it. So I really like the doodle design because you don't exactly have to know where you're going. You can kind of just start and keep working. It doesn't look like much when you start out, but by the time you fill the whole sheet, you end up with a pretty fun, sort of interesting pattern, I think. And if you do want to actually trace a design, you do want to just be sure to do a mirror image of it because it will be the opposite once you flip over your design. So you can see the taping here. It does show up, so it's not going to completely disappear. And when you are embossing on it through the tape, it does take a little more pressure to do that. You can also see that it's maybe not quite as defined, I guess, where the tape is, but I think that's just sort of the price that you pay to have a bigger sheet of aluminum. So I'm a little bit nervous here because I'm also not very good at working with alcohol inks. I haven't had a lot of experience, but I do have some alcohol ink and I've decided I'm going to play around with it on my metal pieces here. So that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check back next week when I will finish up my book cover. And if you enjoyed today's content, please don't forget to like and subscribe.